Raft. What an amazingly simple yet addictive game. Me and my friends have spent hundreds of hours dodging Bruce, exploring islands, and diving deep into reefs. I've never been the biggest fan when it comes to base building, but there's something special about building your raft and going off exploring. So here is 101 tips I wish I knew before I started. If you find any of this useful, leave me a comment, like or subscribe. Let's get into it. 1. Hook multiple items at once. Yes, when you throw the scraphook out and grab an item, it feels very satisfying, but even more so if you can get 2 or 3 at a time. It will stretch out the durability of your scraphook, and it's the most efficient way of getting loot early on. At the very beginning of the game, this tool is vitally important. Making it last longer without having to build new ones is going to help out. 2. Lead your hook shots. Sounds simple enough, but it's trickier than you think. You want to throw the hook into the path that the trash is going to move to, and then adjust the angle of it by pulling it towards you. With a little practice, you'll be scooping up every bit of loot. Even if you miss the initial shot, you'll be able to hang it there and then drag it back. 3. Prioritise barrels and crates. They're going to give you by far the biggest boost early on. If you see one about to slip past your raft, it's even worth just jumping out to go and grab it. They can have all sorts of recipes, they can have food in them, and rarer items like the metal ore or hinges. Always worth going to grab them. Don't let them slip past. 4. Build wide early for better collection. My very first raft I built as a square, and at the beginning of the game you miss so much of the loot of the trash floating by. Very quickly I realised that you want a horizontal, a wide craft. That way you can scoop up everything as you go past. Now getting the angle right is tricky at times. Sometimes you'll bash into an island and your raft will sort of change its angle. You can rectify that later in the game, but having a wider raft is going to net you more resources early on. 5. You can collect items even when you're using your grappling hook. If you've thrown your hook out trying to retrieve 1 or 2 items far away from the raft and you notice one plank or a leaf floating by, you can just grab it with the other hand. This game is about efficiency, and if you've got your hook out and you're scooping up items by your feet, you're maximizing resources. 6. Planks are your most valuable resource. This is true for the early game, the mid game, and even the end game if you want to build yourself a magnificent raft. Even if you've got stacks upon stacks of wood, you'll be surprised how fast you go through it. Whether you're repairing your raft, building new tools, or expanding some rooms, you're going to use a huge amount of it. Stockpile as much as you can get your hands on. 7. Don't overexpand too early. It's very tempting to build a huge raft early on, but if you tap yourself out of resources, you're going to struggle to create food and water for yourself. Not to mention that Bruce is going to rip your raft apart if it's too wide. Try and keep it condensed early on, and when you've got the resources, expand later. 8. Build a spear as soon as possible. It's far more useful than you realise. Bruce will constantly attack your raft, and the only way to deal with him is by jabbing him in the face with the spear. The same if you're diving, it's the only way you can protect yourself. It will also come in handy when you're exploring the islands. Sometimes it's worth having a backup one just in case. They don't last very long. 9. Food and water first. This is a survival crafting game, and you do have to look after your hunger and thirst. The last thing you want to do is scramble to build a grill or a purifier when you absolutely need it. Save some of those vegetables, and you're going to need a couple of planks to fire them. As soon as you can, build a couple of basic ones and just get them ready so as soon as you need them, they're ready to go. 10. Craft a hammer early. This is a necessity for your raft. This is not only how you build it, but also how you repair it. It can also switch basic items for another. It has no durability, so once you make one, you're going to have it forever. But it does more than you think, so spend some time going through its menu. You'd be surprised what you can build in there. 11. Fishing is going to be the easiest food early on. Yes, you'll find some potato and beets in random boxes, but fishing is going to be your main source. You can eat them raw, but it's always best to cook them. They also never go out of date, so you can store them in boxes for later. It's always worth spending 5 to 10 minutes just fishing as much as you can and stacking them for later. 12. Only eat when needed. Sounds straightforward, but it's a little trickier than you think. For example, if you're full on water but you need food, and you've got watermelons and pineapples, you're going to waste them. They're going to give you a lot more water than they will food. If you're almost full and there's just a sliver left, there's no point wasting food or water just to top it up. Save it for later. It can go down real fast and catch you unawares. Don't waste your food. 13. Don't eat raw food. Yes, you might need to do it in a pinch, but in almost every situation it's best to cook it first. Even if your health is flashing red, as long as you're not on death's door, quickly cook it and eat it. 14. Multiple grills and purifiers. Yes, you can never have enough, even if you're playing solo. Whether you've got multiple floors, a wide raft, you can put a couple of purifiers either side. Have them on different floors. Sometimes it's useful to be cooking fish on one and some potatoes on another. Either way, it doesn't hurt having more than less. 15. Always keep food and water ready, especially if you're playing with friends. You have no idea how irritating it is that when you're thirsty, you go to get some water and there's absolutely nothing left. If you've used it, top it back up again. Same for food. If you eat all the potatoes on the grill, quickly harvest some more and make sure that whoever's hungry next, there's something there ready for them to eat. It's one of those little habits you want to get into early. Makes life a lot easier later on. 16. Never explore if you're hungry or thirsty. It's very easy to get caught with your pants down. Your health and food go down quickly. And if you're not near your raft, you can get in trouble fast. If you know you're going to be away from your raft for a while, it's always a good idea to stock up on your food and water and maybe take some items with you as well. You really will be surprised how fast those bars go down. 17. Salt water and fresh water. The easiest way to tell the difference between the two if you've got a container on you is the colour of the bar. If you look at these two water bottles, you'll see the salt water's green and the fresh water's blue. It's a little detail that once you're aware of it, it makes managing water a lot easier. This goes the same for the purifiers. The advanced one's easier to tell what's what, but the original basic one, when you first start out, it's difficult to tell if the water's good to drink or not. If the water's green, it's salt water. If it's blue, it's fresh water. 18. Save the big fish for later. Early game when fishing, you'll come across some medium and large fish, like salmon and catfish. You can't cook these on a small grill, you need the larger grill. Now luckily food doesn't go off, so stock these larger fish in a box somewhere and save them for when you can cook them. They're incredibly useful for getting your food up real fast. They take a while to cook, but they're definitely worth it. 19. Build the research table as soon as you can. This is key to you progressing forward. The way it works is every time you find a new resource, you take it to the research bench, it consumes one of that item, and then it adds it to the list of possible blueprints for you to uncover. Once you've uncovered each item for a particular blueprint, the blueprint will be available for you to learn. This is how you'll get advanced grills and purifiers and progress with the story ultimately. Build one as soon as you can. 20. Don't leave items in the research table. This one sounds silly, but it's rather irritating. While playing with my buddies, sometimes when we get a brand new resource, they would use it in the table then accidentally leave it on the bench. And then when it became time to use the item, we couldn't find it. Whenever you unlock an item on the research table, it doesn't automatically give it back to you. You got to pick it up and take it back. 21. Build storage early. Sounds boring, but it will help you out in the long run. I'm one of those OCD kind of guys that I like to store everything in its own chest. You have wood in one, plastic in another, etc, etc. So when you need something, you know exactly where to find it. It takes a little time organizing it out, but once you've done it, it will save you a huge amount later on. 22. Keep tools in a dedicated chest. So you've sorted all your resources out into chests, there's no point separating the tools. Whether you need to quickly grab a spade or grab the shears, you want to go to the same chest every time. I can't stand it when people start chucking things in random chests. Just put all the equipment in the same place and you'll thank me later. 23. Always carry a spare hook. Yes, it's possible to make them on the fly, but you won't always have the resources on you. If you're diving in the reef and you come across a pocket of metal and your hook breaks, it's easy to forget exactly where you saw the resources. Try and get in the habit of always carrying a spare, so if one breaks, you can always pick up the scrap of metal and not have to leave it behind. 24. Don't rush islands without an anchor, especially if you're not sure on what you're doing. The raft will drift away faster than you think, and it's easy to get distracted if you're down searching the reefs. This can be even more of a problem at night time, as the raft can become incredibly difficult to see, especially if you've not built much on it. Build an anchor first, then explore. 25. Craft the paddle early. It might seem like a bit of a useless item, but you'll be surprised how often you get your raft trapped in a particular island. If you find yourself wedged between some rocks, use the paddle to get yourself out. You'd be surprised how effective it is. Doesn't cost much to make, and you'll find navigating round an island far easier with it than without. 26. Drop the anchor on the good side. Most islands will have a reef on one or several sides of it, but not all the way round. And if you're on a big island and you park your raft on the wrong side, it can take a long time to get back and forth from where you're trying to farm. 27. Farm trees for loot. Straightforward, but whenever you go to an island, make sure you take an axe with you. You can get wood, leaves, seeds, plus fruit. You really need to farm them. Plank is the main resource you need, and being able to farm that and get food at the same time is just a bonus. Take the seeds back and grow some on your raft. 28. If you're exploring an island, always make sure to check the reef before you leave. You'll find scrap, metal, clay, sand. Just make sure you take a hook down with you to prize it out. You need a lot of these materials, and when you're sailing around, it's really frustrating to run out of clay or some sort of metal. Farm more than you think you need before leaving. 29. Shark bait. A little finicky to use, but once you get the hang of it, this is a lifesaver when you're trying to explore. You need to do some fishing, craft it together, throw it out and wait for the shark to be distracted. Then you can go down and loot to your heart's content. The shark is a huge pain, so being able to bait him away is really useful. 30. Build and equip some flippers. Again, if you're trying to loot and explore reefs, these are invaluable. Or even if your raft is just drifting along and you're trying to get as much loot as possible, flippers are a necessity. The only downside is they don't last forever due to durability, but whenever you've got some spare resources, make sure you craft some. You go a lot faster with them. 31. Equipables and how to use them. Just like the flippers, there is a lot of different items in this game you can equip. And in order to do it, when you're looking in your inventory, at the very bottom you'll see a row that's separated from your backpack. That row is items you can equip, and you have to put the item in there for it to actually equip onto your person. Whether you're trying to equip a helmet, flippers, or some other device, that's where you need to put it. Just keep an eye on durability. Most things will break over time. 32. The scrap hook upgrade. This is a huge bonus over the original. Yes, it costs a little bit more, but it lasts a lot longer. You can throw it further and it farms a lot faster. This is a bonus all the way round. And if you're putting scrap from the sea or trying to dig stuff out of the seabed, you've got to upgrade your hook as soon as possible. 33. You can pick up your arrows after you've shot them. A lot of games let you do this, but in this game it's very valuable. Trying to continuously craft arrows is very expensive, even if you're going for just the stone ones. It's even possible to actually pull them out of the animal you're trying to kill. After you've used the bow, spend a few minutes just running around picking them up. It's a good habit to get into and you're going to save yourself a lot of resources in the long run. 34. The bow. Now the bow is tricky to use, but when it comes to the big birds that fly around the island, it's invaluable. Trying to hit it with a spear just doesn't cut it. The bow is far more useful. You can also use the bow underwater as well, which is quite surprising, but equally as effective. Just be aware that you're going to use a lot of arrows when you use it, but just like the tip before, you can pick them up. So if you're exploring a big island with several big birds there, make sure you take a bow and arrow with you. 35. Bird's nest. Once you find yourself a giant clam, you'll be able to craft yourself a bird's nest. You want to put it somewhere quiet on your raft, and after a short amount of time you'll see seagulls land on it. Now you can go over there and scare them off and collect feathers from the nest, and if you've got a bow and arrow you can shoot them and collect meat as well as feathers, for some extra food and being able to farm those feathers. 36. You can jump from incredibly high heights. In this game there is not much fall damage. I don't think I've died once from falling from a high height, and I've jumped off some incredibly high islands. Take advantage of this, and if you need to get back to your raft quickly, just jump down. You'll be safe, I promise. 37. It's quicker to swim. If you're just letting your raft drift and you're trying to farm resources, sometimes it's just quicker to jump in the water and swim around and grab everything. Yes, the shark's going to bother you, but you'll be in and out before you know it. The hook is very effective, but especially if you've got flippers, you can swim around and quickly grab all the loot around you fast. Don't be afraid to jump in. Bruce isn't that bad. 38. The Pufferfish. Now you'll find these pufferfish in slightly deeper water in the Reefs. You'll spot their chunky little bodies swimming around. They are quite dangerous. Now you can kill these with a bow and arrow, or you can kill them with a spear. It's far easier with the bow and arrow. If you're using the iron spear, you've got to hit it 4 times to actually finish it off. If you don't do it quick enough, he'll explode and leave a poisonous gas around the area. But you'll need to farm these if you want to build the net launcher. You use that to capture the bigger animals on the island. Don't take these things on lightly, make sure you're prepared. 39. Islands despawn roughly 2,000 to 2,500 meters away from the raft if you're drifting away from it. This is useful information if you're trying to track an island or trying to get one to reset like a quest island. Sometimes due to the wind early on, you just can't get to a particular island because you can't go against the wind. In that case, you want to go far enough away that it despawns and then respawns. This is easier to track if you have the receiver. 40. The receiver is key to story progression. You could drift around indefinitely and never ever get onto the quest. In order to start it, you've got to build the receiver. This allows you to find and track the quest islands. The moment you've got the resources to build one, and you've happily built the raft how you want it, build the receiver and it's time to start the story. 41. Build tall, not just wide. It's easy to try and build the widest raft you can, but it gets very expensive and really difficult to maintain. You want to build it tall as well. Stops Bruce from getting to it, and it keeps everything more compact, easier to navigate around. In one of my games, I built a raft so wide that every time I came to an island, trying to get away from the island again was incredibly difficult because it just kept getting caught. You've been warned. 42. You can build on walls. This took me a little while to figure out, but a lot of the items you can build, you can actually place on a wall as well. Chests can be mounted on walls, even grills. A lot of the lights and decorations can be mounted horizontally or vertically as well. You'll see it change as you hover it on the floor, on a wall, or on a ceiling. The item itself can switch depending on where you want to put it. Experiment with different items to see what you can put on a wall and what you can't. You'll be surprised what you can. 43. Horizontal supports. This is incredibly useful. If you've got OCD like me and you want it to look as clean as possible, you have to use horizontal supports. Unfortunately, you've got to use the vertical ones first at times to build the roof. But once you've done it, put a horizontal one in, you can remove the vertical beam for a much cleaner, nicer build. It makes moving around your raft a lot easier and it looks 10 times better. Again, tinker around with this, but once you get the knack of it, you'll never want to use vertical beams again. This is how you get a really nice, clean build. 44. Make a hole for the anchor in your raft. This is a no-brainer because if you put the anchor on the outside and you go exploring, it's really easy for Bruce to bite that particular section and you'll lose the anchor and the raft will just drift off without you knowing. Yes, this has happened to me and my team before. To save any confusion, make a hole in the middle of the raft, put the anchor there, and you'll never lose the raft again. 45. Foundation armor. You can reinforce certain foundations using metal ingots. Now you don't need to put this over every single piece, just on the outside. Once you've circled your whole raft on the outside with foundation armor, Bruce will stop attacking your raft completely. This literally is a game changer. Once you've got the ground floor exactly how you want it, reinforce the whole outside, and the game takes on a much calmer feel. Then you've only got to worry about Bruce when you're jumping in the water. 46. The anchor in the middle. Yes, I've already said about making a hole in the middle of your raft, but there's a reason for it. Not only will it protect your anchor from Bruce, but it makes anchoring your whole raft a lot easier. If you offset it to a particular side and drop anchor, your whole raft can twist and spin round in bizarre ways. This is a problem if you get too close to an island. You can get stuck and caught and it becomes quite tricky to get out at times. Just make life easier for yourself and mount the anchor somewhere central in your raft. 47. Collection nets. Once you've unlocked these, you want to build as many as you possibly can. Try and be strategic with them, but these are going to be the best passive way of getting all sorts of resources. They are quite expensive and you've got to be careful where you place them because Bruce can get them. But once you've got a decent amount of these in place, they're going to pay for themselves very quickly. Collection nets are a necessity. 48. Keep your nets away from the edges. Building foundation armor all the way around your raft is costly. It takes 1 metal ingot per piece. You may need 40 to 50 metal, which you just don't have at the moment. If that's the case, after building your collection nets along the outside of your raft, build one section just after them. This is more of a sacrificial piece, so Bruce will grab a hold one of them and not the collection net itself. Try and be smart where you put them. You don't want to start losing them. 49. Collect from your nets before logging off or quitting. If you've got a big raft with a lot of collection nets, you can have a lot of resources just sat there. And if there's barrels and crates inside, you want to make sure you go and harvest all of this before logging off. Because when you log back in, all those nets could be empty. Make sure you grab the loot before you lose it. 50. Use the L-shaped strategy. While you're in the early stages and you're putting your collection nets out, put them in an L shape. That way, no matter which way your raft is facing or drifting, you're going to maximize the amount of resources it collects. You can randomly put them around your raft, but to maximize efficiency, put them in an L shape. You'll thank me later. 51. You can rotate your craft with the wheel. Now, you won't get the steering wheel until you've completed a couple of the quest islands, but as soon as you get it, it's a game changer. Before the wheel, you're really at the mercy of the wind, and sometimes your raft will be directly into the wind and you won't catch much at all. Once you get the steering wheel, you can actually turn and flip the raft around so you can point it in any direction you want while still drifting. This is really handy if you're trying to track the compass, the receiver, or just trying to maximize what you can get in your collection nets. 52. The axe can break up your raft. Now, the hammer will let you build stuff, but the axe will let you break stuff. If you've placed a couple of foundation bits in the wrong place or a wall you didn't mean to, you need an axe to break it up. You don't get all the resources back. I think you get roughly half of them back. But if you're doing a big project on your raft, you're going to need the hammer and the axe. 53. You can discard blueprints once you've got them. There is really nothing else to do with those blueprints. They'll just take up space. You don't need to put them in the research bench. The moment you first pick one up, you might as well just throw it back on the floor. Sounds like a waste, but there really is nothing else you can do with them. It automatically gets assigned to the research bench. The only thing you need to do is go to the bench and click the learn button, and that will work whether you have the blueprint on you or not. 54. Pin recipes on the wall. Unlike the blueprints, the recipes are actually worth holding on to. Whether they're recipes for the cooking bench or the mixer, you can actually pin them on the benches themselves, or if you've got walls behind, you can pin them there. It's incredibly useful having them there if you're trying to cook or make yourself a smoothie. If you've got a duplicate, throw it away, but if it's a new one, just pin it with the rest. 55. Using lanterns for night visibility. Yes, you can see at night, but not very well. And as soon as you put the lanterns in, it makes it so much nicer. And when you're at a distance looking at your raft with all these lanterns lighting it up, it does really make it a bit more special. If you're somebody who sleeps through the night a lot, you don't need to worry about them. But if you like to maximize the night, use lanterns. 56. The shark attacks follow a pattern. If the shark is focused on you, it will attack at specific intervals. Knowing this can really help you when trying to navigate. You can actually jump out of the water just as he's about to attack you as well. Timing is everything. So understanding how he attacks and when he attacks is going to be crucial to you surviving. 57. Hit the shark before it bites you. If you're underwater and he's charging at you, the moment he just opens his mouth in front of you, if you jab him with the spear, you'll damage him and he'll close his mouth and you won't take any damage. It's possible to stand there toe to toe with Bruce, take him out and never take a scratch of damage. It's all about timing. 58. The metal spear. These are super effective. Whether you're fighting a boar, bear, or Bruce, you want a metal spear, not a wooden one. It lasts a lot longer, does a lot more damage, and if you're playing solo, it's almost a necessity. Don't leave raft without one. 59. The shark stays with the raft. Once you swim far enough away from the raft, Bruce will leave you alone. If you're exploring an island and Bruce is becoming a bit of a problem, leave the raft on one side and then swim over to the other. The shark only patrols near the raft, and it will leave you alone if you're far enough away. Really useful to know if you're just trying to farm some scrap in the reef. 60. Use Scarecrows. If you've ever sat on your raft and you suddenly hear a bunch of seagulls, they're going to mess up your food or your flowers. If you put a scarecrow down, they're going to target that instead of your food and crops. This can be a lifesaver if you haven't got much food. Don't overlook them. 61. Kill the birds. Yep, sounds rather harsh, but if you want to farm some chicken legs and feathers, you've got to kill those birds. A bow and arrow you'll find is easiest to take them out. And if you've got a bird's nest, even better. The seagulls will come and land there for you, lining up a free shot, like shooting fish in a barrel. 62. Just follow the trash flow. If you're not sure where you should be going, raise the anchor, raise the sail, and just let the raft drift. After a short while, it will just drift into the trash and endlessly float into it. There is no end to this. It will go on indefinitely. If you just want to farm materials and build your raft, just let it drift into the trash. I've spent too many hours doing that. 63. Build inwards to keep safe. Yes, before endgame, building all of your stuff on the inside of the raft is definitely what you want to do. You build anything on the outside and Brucey Boy gets it, you're in trouble. As you can see here, it might not look that good at the moment, but this is a necessity. Once I get a larger raft and I put foundation down, I'll space everything out properly then. But for the early game, just stick everything right together in the middle of the raft to keep it safe. 64, the net launcher. Pricey to build, and this thing is comprised of two parts. The launcher itself and the makeshift net. You've got to build both. The launcher's easy to build, the net's not so much. The nets require explosive goo, and in order to get that you've got to farm pufferfish. Once you've got the explosive goo, you then need to smelt it, and then you can craft the net itself. Once you've got the net and the launcher, you want to go exploring islands. Now be careful. You don't get to pick these up again afterwards. Once you've shot it, if you miss, you miss. You've been warned. 65, the Unstuck button. Now this game can be a little janky at times, but if you find yourself trapped or stuck anywhere, you need to stop moving or pressing any buttons for 30 seconds. Once the game's detected that you've not pressed any inputs in 30 seconds, if you go into your options, you're going to find at the top an Unstuck button has appeared. This will take you out and reset you to the raft. Really useful to know if you get yourself caught in a weird position. Sometimes while exploring the islands, I find myself trapped in a set of rocks and I can't get out. Having the Unstuck button has saved me more than once. 66, cooking pots. Once you've got yourself a few recipes and you've pinned them next to your cooking bench, it's time to get cooking. You'll see 4 pieces of paper around the cooking pot itself. That's where you need to place the items. Once you've got all the ingredients and you've put the wood underneath the cooking pot, you can then tell it to start cooking. It's going to take a minute or two for it to complete, and you need to make sure you've got a clay bowl ready to collect it. You've only got a short time to collect it once it's finished cooking, otherwise it will go bad. So make sure you're ready to get it. These give you a lot of food and will give you a buff so you can over level how much food you've got. Incredibly useful. 67, the juicer machine. Now similar to the cooking pot, but this is for drinks. Same process, but you don't need a clay bowl, you need drinking glasses. Gives you a lot of water and the same buff again. When you combine this with the cooking station, it's incredibly useful. 68. How to use the metal detector. This is going to be the primary way of finding titanium late in the game. When you've built the metal detector, you want to head to your nearest island. You want to walk around scanning the island until every single light is on. At that point, switch to the shovel and then dig in that exact spot. There won't be any visual indication of where exactly you need to dig, and as you can see here, it can be on stone or the earth or the beach. But once all those lights are lit up, you know you're in the right spot. Just keep digging around there and eventually you'll find it. You can get loads of good resources with this. Make sure you do every island you come across. 69. Stack buffs before going on quest islands. Now that you know how cooking pots and juices work, you want to make a couple of each when you're going to go and explore a quest island. You can be on these islands for a good 30 to 40 minutes easily, if not longer. So making sure you're well stocked with these buffs helps massively. And if you've got a couple of them at a time, you can stretch that out even longer. There's nothing worse than getting halfway through the quest and suddenly having to run back to your raft. It wastes a huge amount of time and it can be quite tricky to find yourself back to where you were. Always stock up. 70. Rain waters your plants. A nice handy mechanic to bear in mind. If you've got planters, try and leave them where the rain can hit them. If you've got them inside, the rain won't work. But if you've got them outside, it can make life a lot easier when you need to water your plants. A handy little trick to remember, just makes things a lot more efficient if you put your planters in the right place. 71. Use large crop plots for wood and fruit. It sounds daft growing trees on your own raft, but these can be an endless supply of planks and fruit. On one of our later builds, we built the whole top floor as a forest, and we could go up there and farm it endlessly. Like I said earlier, planks are your main resource, and being able to grow trees on here really helps. You want to grow a variety between the trees. That way you can harvest different fruit and use them for your smoothies. Build as many trees as you can. 72. Animals need grass plots. If you manage to secure yourself some animals using the net launcher, in order for them to keep giving you the resources, they need to feed on grass. But in order to get this, you've got to find dirt, which you'll find in the caves on the islands. You need a shovel to get it. Once you've got 2 dirt, you can create one of these grass plots. Again, they need watering, but if you leave them outside and it rains, it will do it for you. You're going to need quite a few of these grass plots because you're going to have a few animals over time. You can tell if one of the animals needs to eat because its neck will be drooped down. As soon as it eats, it's back up again and it will regenerate whatever resource it can. 73. Crafting backpacks. You need to shear some llamas for wool and kill some bears or boars for leather. But once you've got enough of both, you'll be able to craft yourself a backpack. This is incredibly useful and you want to create it as soon as you can. In order to use it, you need to look in your inventory and look to the bottom 5 slots. That's where you're going to equip it. Now luckily this doesn't have durability, so it will last forever. So as soon as you can craft it, make it. You'll be able to farm so much more with it. 74. Actually farming the wool. Because the wool is not only used for the backpack, you can use it for quite a few other things. In order to farm it though, you're going to have to use a net launcher, go and catch yourself a llama, and then bring it back to your raft. Make sure Bruce doesn't get him. Once he's here and you've got your grass plot, you need to make yourself a pair of shears. You'll be able to shear him, get 1 wool, and then wait for him to eat some grass. It will regenerate, and then you can do it again, repeat the process. Having a couple of them will really speed it up. 75. Keeping chickens to get free eggs. Same process as the llama. Once you get the chicken on board and it's fed up with grass, it will randomly spawn eggs for you. These are used for healing, but most importantly making some of the better cooking recipes. You can also eat them raw in a pinch. These are really useful to have around, and it's always a nice surprise when you turn the corner on your raft and you see a little egg there. Get as many as you can. 76. Milking goats for free milk. Same process as the other 2. Catch it with the net launcher and bring it back to your raft. Once it's fed up with grass, you need a bucket and you'll be able to harvest some milk from him. You can then drink that raw, or you can use it in various recipes. Having all 3 on board, you're never going to be short on food again. 77. Food doesn't spoil. Whether it's in your inventory, in a container, or resting on a grill, it will just stay there indefinitely. Really handy if you want to cook yourself a load of fish before you go exploring an island, or you just want to leave food on the grill for when you come back. Food will never spoil. 78. Upgrade to the advanced purifier as soon as you can. The standard purifier requires wood in order to power it. And as that's your main resource, you really want to save it for other areas. The advanced purifier not only can hold more water and produce more pure water, but it's solar powered, so you don't need to do anything other than put the seawater into it. Make yourself a few of these and you'll never be short of water again. 79. Upgrade to the water bottle as soon as possible. It's so much better than a standard cup. The water bottle holds 5 times what a normal cup can. So if you've got loads of plants you need to water, or you're trying to fill loads of advanced purifiers, the bottles are far more efficient than running around with lots of cups. It's also a lot better to use when you're exploring islands, because you can use the water bottle 5 times before it runs out as opposed to once with a cup. Stack a couple of these water bottles and you'll never have to think about water again. 80. Crafting wet bricks. These are used to create smelters, and you can start making these early on. You need to get your hook and you need to go and dig out 6 sand and 6 clay. You then combine those to make 6 wet bricks. You lay them out on your raft, and after 5 to 6 minutes you'll be able to pick them up. You'll know they're ready because you'll be able to interact with them again. This will then give you 6 dry bricks and you can create the smelter. 81. Once you built yourself 1 smelter, you want to build yourself a couple more. There's quite a few things you need to use in the smelters and they take a little while. It's a lot more efficient to have 2 or 3 of them, even if you're playing solo. You need to feed them planks of wood, but once you've got 2 or 3 of them, you'll be able to craft stuff a lot quicker. 82. Smelt seaweed into Vine Goo. Vine Goo is used for quite a lot of things like creating the bow. In order to get it, you need to go down into the reefs, farm some seaweed, go back to your smelter, put the seaweed in it, and a few minutes later you're going to be able to harvest the Vine Goo. It doesn't make this very clear, but once you know, you can farm the seaweed like crazy and create a huge stack of the Vine Goo. 83. The recycler. You want this device going 24/7. You're going to use this for the end game. All the scrap you have that you don't need, excess wood, plastic, leaves, throw it into this. Hook up a battery and it will start spitting out cubes. These trash cubes you're going to end up taking to the trader. So as you're sailing around, you want to farm as many of these trash cubes as possible. And when you get yourself to a big island, we're going to hunt for a trading post. 84. Trading posts. So you've got yourself a stack of trash cubes and you found a trading post. You can spot them from a mile off. They're actually easier to spot at night due to all the lights they have on them. Now there's a bunch of items you can trade for the trash cubes. Basic resources, blueprints, etc. The first thing you want to get is as much bait as you can. Trade the trash cubes for bait. We're going to use those to go and farm some fish. 85. How to earn coins and increase your reputation with a trading post. You got your trash cubes, you traded them for bait, now it's time to fish using that bait and you're going to get some rare fish. Go back to the trading post and you'll be able to sell these there. In return you'll get coins and slowly increase the reputation. These coins are going to allow you to buy some of the better stuff at the trading post. A compass, advanced blueprints, Rarer materials, the higher your reputation, the better the items. So keep farming the trash cubes, trade them for bait, farm the fish, and then sell the fish. This is how you're going to get the best gear in the game. 86. Learn how the engines work. Once you get far enough into the story, you're going to get the ability to create these engines. These are going to let you sail towards the wind. Suddenly navigating around becomes a lot easier. The basic engine is powered with wood, and you can change the direction from forward to backwards. Now each engine will power up to 100 raft tiles. On the build me and my friends are using, we've got 4 engines to power the whole thing. If you attach an engine and try and turn it on and you just see it struggling, that means you need more engines. Now it does go through wood fast, but this is the fastest way to get around. Once you've got the right amount of engines for your raft and they're topped up with planks, you can get anywhere quick. 87. Use the streamers. These are a lot more useful than you would imagine, and you want to build them early on. Once you've got the engine, not so much of an issue. But before that point, the streamer's going to tell you exactly where the raft's going to be headed. If you're anchored outside of an island and the streamer's pointing towards the island, you're going to have to do some jiggery pokery, otherwise you're going to crash into it. The streamer will massively help when you're trying to go to quest islands as well. If something you're trying to go towards is towards the wind and you don't have an engine, you're not going to make it. The streamer's going to let you know that. 88. You only need 1 sail. Even if your raft is 1,000 tiles big, you only need 1 sail. Even if you have an engine, the sail is still important. Sometimes you want to just slowly drift towards something. The engine lets you go forward and backwards, not necessarily left and right. This is where the sail comes in handy if you're trying to navigate around an island. But again, you only need 1. 89. The receiver and antennas need to be on the 2nd floor of your raft or higher. Not ground, not first, or second. A little frustrating, but it needs to be up that high for them to work. Again, this is crucial for you to start the story. Doesn't need to be anything fancy, you just need to get to the 2nd floor and place it down. 90. You need to space the antennas away from the receiver by 3 blocks each. The receiver requires 3 antennas, and like I said, each one needs to be 3 blocks apart. If you've not done it correctly, the receiver will tell you, and you need to move them around a bit more. Once you've got them in position, make sure you've got a battery hooked up to the receiver, and you'll see a radar on the screen. 91. The blue versus green dots explained on the receiver. The green dots are random large islands around you. Small islands don't appear on this. If you see a blue dot, it's a quest island. If it's a blue dot with a square around it, that's the quest item you're currently tracking. Once you've got the receiver and an engine, you can go to any island quickly. 92. The journal and the codes for the receiver. When you first build the receiver, it's going to put the first code in automatically for you. The code is linked to the quest island. As soon as you complete your first quest, you're going to get a 2nd code in your journal. With that, you're going to have to go to the receiver and on the right hand side manually input the code yourself. Once you've put the 2nd code in, that is going to take you to the 2nd quest island. Each quest island is going to have its own code. So if you ever want to go back to an island, just look at the journal, find the code, put it into the receiver, and that's going to let you track the island you want. 93. Sleeping skips night and speeds up your progress. Yeah, sleeping not only fast forwards to daytime, but if you were smelting anything, it would instantly be finished. If you were growing vegetables or fruit, it's instantly done. Sleeping can be really handy if you just want to complete something fast. Also, if you don't like working at night, just make sure you go to bed, sleep, and you'll be straight back to normal. 94. Use the night time to get work done. You may be somebody who just wants to skip the night at every turn, but once you've got a load of lights set up, it's actually quite nice working at night on the raft. Smelting, growing food, cooking food, or tinkering with your rooms. Use night to mess around with your raft, and during the day, explore the islands. 95. Watch for item durability. A lot of the items in the game have durability, and you can see by the bottom of the icon the bar. The higher an upgraded item, the slower that bar goes down. If the durability on an item is halfway or lower, always have a backup ready. The durability bar can go down real fast. Be careful. 96. You can collect items while fishing. When you throw the rod out with one hand, you can use the other hand to collect items that are just sailing by you. It's a little trick that helps you boost your efficiency. Farming fish and items at the same time just saves time. This is a little habit you want to get into early, because you're going to be fishing a lot. 97. Hammock versus bed. Both do the same job, but the hammock is much better. Not only is it easier to place and looks better on your raft, but it actually has benefits. If you die and respawn, you'll come back with more health on a hammock than a bed. The same goes for your thirst and hunger. You'll be less hungry and less thirsty if you spawn back on a hammock than a bed. They cost more, but they're so much more useful. 98. Use the auto store and auto sort functions. If you've separated your boxes into wood, plastic, leaves, etc., when you open up one of those boxes, on the PlayStation you click the left stick in and anything you have in your inventory that matches the box gets transferred automatically for you. And if you click the right stick, it automatically sorts the whole box for you. This makes storing your loot so incredibly fast and efficient. Before I realised this, I was manually picking an item up and putting it in the box. You just click one button to transfer everything that's in the same box, and then the right button to organise. So much easier and quicker. 99. Start the game on easy to learn. There is no shame playing on easy. The main difference is that your hunger and thirst go down slower. This just makes it a lot more enjoyable to explore and craft without constant pressure. Once you get the hang of the game, you can go back and turn it onto normal, but easy is definitely where it's at. 100. Don't pick the flowers early. Everyone's made the same mistake. You'll come onto an island and see loads of flowers. You scoop them up thinking you're going to need them. You do not need them until the end game, if at all. The only thing they're used for is creating paint. If you want to colour your raft in, then fine, pick them up. But honestly, you won't need them until the end game if you plan on painting your raft at all. Don't fill up your inventory needlessly. 101. Don't drink salt water. Yes, I have seen people doing it, and no, it doesn't work. Your thirst will go down quicker. Even if you're at death's door, don't attempt it. And there we have 101 tips for the game Raft. I have thoroughly enjoyed this game. I'm still playing it with my friends now. I'm really surprised as to where the game takes you later on. I won't spoil anything, but it's a really good one. Reminds me of Abiotic Factor in some ways. If you found any of this useful, please leave me a like, comment or subscribe. I'm really getting into these survival crafting games. There's a couple of more that I want to play. Forever Skies being one. I might make a 101 tip video for that one. But until the next video, look after yourselves. Peace.